In this video, I'm going to discuss the best way to save for a home. This method will keep you from being house poor, so this home becomes a dream and not a burden. I just want to preface by saying that I'm not a financial advisor or a mortgage broker. I am a person who, over the past few years, who has become obsessed with personal finance. I am a real estate agent in British Columbia, in the Kelowna and Okanagan area. So if you are looking for an agent, buying, selling, or you are looking to relocate to this area, I'd love to help you out. My information is down below and you can set up an appointment with me there. All right, so this is exactly what we're going to be going over today. We're going to be building out a personal budget. I'm going to show you step by step how to do that, including with your income, your expenses, your debt, and your actual debt payment. And then we're going to follow that up with your down payment, how long it might take you to save for your down payment, depending on the house or townhouse, condo, whatever you want, and how much you're going to need for that down payment. There are also a few other things I'm going to be discussing as well that pertain to all of this, but it'll be wrapped up at the end. All right, so now we're going to head over to Excel here. I created this spreadsheet about 5 years ago, and I've been using it. I would like to say I use it every month, but I use it off and on here and there, and I've started using it more, especially now, this time of year and what's been going on. And personally, I've just started a new career. I just got married, and so I'm trying to get my finances back in order. So the reason why I'm creating this video is to help you guys out as well, and this is will be a good refresher for myself. This is the budget here. If you look down on the bottom there where it says personal net worth budget, all the different spreadsheets there, I'll just start with personal net worth. Now these are all just generic numbers I've put in here, just pretending like it's a single person. So this personal net worth calculator, which I made, is just a good visual representation of where you sit with debt and what you have in assets. So, this random person, this made up person, according to their assets and their debts, they have negative $25,000. So you want to have that green look more green than red. So you want those assets to overcome that debt. Okay, now going back over the budget, if you'd like a copy of this template, I'll leave a link down below where you can download it and use it yourself. I find it really handy, and it's helped me personally get out of debt. It's just good to see how much money you have coming in and the expenses and everything going out. All you have to do month to month is copy this template and make a new sheet down below here, and then copy that over just so you don't have to delete all the numbers every month. So that's just a good tip for you. Okay, so let's start with your income. So we're just pretending here that it's a single person. This isn't any of my information or anything. This is just something I've made up. Pretend your job. Let's pretend you make $3,500 and that you have a side hustle of $500. Now, if you do have a spouse or more other income, add those in on separate lines just so you can see individually where all the money's coming from. Now we're going to pretend here, so I'm going to move that back to 0. Just a side note here with the visual representation I have here on the left with the pie chart. Now when you start entering in all your data in your actual section, what you're actually bringing in, it'll auto populate the pie chart here just to give you a visual representation of where you are. And if we go back over here, so just to reiterate here, so enter everything that you actually bring in the actual column here. So as the month goes on, you get paid, maybe the 15th and 30th or whatever it is. Enter those in. Refer to the budget every single day and enter anything that you have coming in, and once we get to the expenses, everything that you've spent. And then over here in the difference column, that'll just auto populate the difference of what you thought you budgeted for, so what you think you're bringing in every month. And over time, you'll obviously you should know what you're bringing in, but over time you'll get it down to more of an exact science, and then you'll be able to see the difference here as well. Now let's go down to the expense section. There are two categories for expenses. Your fixed expenses, that's expenses that don't change every month. They're fixed, so you have your rent, say it's $1,500 every single month. Your car insurance is exactly the same, say it's $150 a month, and so on. And then we go down to your variable expenses. Those are expenses that can change every month. So maybe you're using more or less gas each month, you're spending more or less on groceries and so on. So those are the two expense categories that I have set up in this spreadsheet. And then again, just like the income section, once you start putting in your values for what you've actually spent, so say you do actually spend $1,500 on rent, that gets auto-populated over here with the pie chart, and that starts to build and develop where you can have a visual representation of where you are at. So again, going down to your variable expenses now. So these are expenses that do change month to month, so such as your gas, groceries, restaurants, anything else that is an expense that comes out of your bank account that changes month to month that isn't fixed, like your rent. So I would recommend going back on your bank statements just like you would with your fixed expenses and kind of gauge an idea of what you might be spending month to month. So go back 60 or 90 days and see what you've spent in the past and put that on your first budget. Then going forward, as you have your budgets built out month to month, you'll get a better idea of what you're actually spending. Now, part of your variable expenses is your debt. So I'll go over the debt in a minute here, but what you want to do essentially for your lowest debt, you want to be paying as much as you can on your lowest or your smallest debt, and then pay minimum payments on everything else until that first debt is paid for, and then just work your way down. So I'll discuss that just in a second. It's called the debt snowball. Now, if we go down just to the totals here, so I'll just start with this one here. So total of actual expenses, that's just all the actual expenses totaled from your fixed to your variable expenses. So I'll just enter some more in here. Let's say you only spend $250, groceries $300, maybe you only go out to a restaurant a couple times. There, it starts adding it up there at the bottom for you. And if we go over to your total of your variable expenses and total of your fixed expenses, that's just exactly how it sounds. So if we have it showing there, click on the formula bar, it adds everything up there. And the same for your fixed expenses. So that's all your fixed expenses there. And then it gives a total of your budgeted expenses. So your variable and your fixed budgeted expenses. Now, a very important number here is your budgeted income and expenses. So this one takes, in this case, G10 and G51. So it takes your total budgeted expenses and your total budgeted income. Now, the idea here is to make this number 0. So whatever or how much you think you have coming in each month, just like in this example, $4,000, you want to give each dollar a job. So whether that's, all your fixed expenses, you have, what's the total here? So you have $2,115 going towards, each one of those dollars has a job. It's going towards your fixed expenses. Next, we have the remainder here, $1,885. That's all going towards your variable expenses. So in this example, each dollar has a job. So as you're going through, let's say your credit card, you only put in $50 for the first credit card there. Now you have $215. Each one of those little dollars need a job. So what I would do with the excess that you have down here is just put it towards a debt payment or your lowest debt payment for now. And then as the months go on, you'll better understand where your money is going to, and you'll be able to allocate that money properly. And I mean, if you can pay more on debt, that's the whole goal here. Now this number, the budgeted income and expenses, is 0. Every dollar has a job. Now as the month goes on and you're reaching the end of the month, the actual income and expenses is very, very important. You do not want this number to be red. You want more money coming in than is going out. You don't want more money going out than is coming in. That means you're getting further and further in debt each month. If you have any questions about this budget, please let me know in the comments down below. And again, if you want to download it, I will leave a link down below in the description. All right, so now we're going to discuss your debt, or this made up person's debt here. So I don't think this looks very different of what the average Canadian or American would be paying on their debt with credit cards, student loans, car loans, whatever else you got. So this is called the debt snowball. Now, the debt snowball, I originally heard from Dave Ramsey and his what's called his baby steps Now, a lot of people, he might call him old school finance guy or whatever, but his first 3 steps of paying off debt is what helped me and millions of other people. It's just a foolproof way of paying off debt. It makes it so easy. I tried to pay off debt on my own before. I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I was good at personal finance until I came across the snowball method. Now I'll just show you what his baby steps are, and then I'll come back to the snowball method. So this is Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps, they're called. Step 1 is to save $1,000 in an emergency fund. So this is if you're on a debt-free journey or getting rid of as much debt as you possibly can in the shortest amount of time. The baby step 1 is to save $1,000 in an emergency fund, because when you're paying off debt, you want to have money set aside in the event of, a tire blows out or an appliance breaks or something like that. So save $1,000 in an emergency fund in the event something like that happens. Now, some people say they may need more than $1,000 in the event of an emergency, and I would say keep it at $1,000. If you have $4,000 or $5,000, say, set in an emergency fund, you could be using, that additional $3,000 or $4,000 towards your debt. But because you have such a safety cushion there, that might cause you not to pay off your debt as quick, because you do have that little safety net there. By only having $1,000 saved really lights a fire under you to pay off that debt quicker, because you only have $1,000 saved. Now, baby step 2 is the debt snowball, which I'll discuss here in a minute. And baby step 3A is to have a fully funded emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of living expenses. And then 3B is the exciting part of saving for your down payment. He does have other steps there. I'm not going to go into them into this video. One's for investing, saving for kids' college, paying off the house, and then living and giving. So those are his steps there. If you want to follow him on in YouTube or Spotify or watch his videos and stuff, they're really good, especially for the getting out of debt part. That's the one major part that really helped me. Okay, so going back to the budget, now we're going to discuss the debt snowball. So list your debts here, smallest to largest, and start paying them off, the smallest one first, regardless of interest rate, and make minimum payments on the rest. So that's kind of what I discussed here. As you make minimum payments on the bottom 3, and on the top one, your first one, your smallest debt, pay as much as you can. Now, the regardless of interest rate part, people get thrown off of that because, my one credit card has 20%, the other one has 10. Why don't I pay off the one with 20 first, and all that? And you get confused in your head with all these numbers and all this math and all that. The reason you're in debt is not because you're good at math. It's because your habits are awful. And that's not a slight on you. That's what I've been going through. And that this method definitely helps me out, has helped me out, and it will help you out too. So the reason why we list them smallest to largest is to get in the habit of paying off and getting those quick and easy wins. So let's even say you owed a family member $500. Pay them off. That's $500 wiped off your debt. And then that's a win. We want to get these small wins going and build up momentum, or grow the snowball to your eventual goal of paying off your debt. All right, so that's an explanation of the debt snowball. If you want to hear more, go listen to Dave Ramsey on his podcasts and YouTube channel and all that. Now, on to your actual goal of paying off your debt. So experts say, or Mr. Ramsey says, you should be paying it off quickly, within 24 to 36 months max. So if we take your $50,000 of debt, divide that by 36 months, we get a number of almost $1,400. So that is your monthly debt payment that you need to pay in order to have that $50,000 paid off in 36 months. Now, let's say you wanted to pay it off, you're getting gung-ho, and that is what happens when you're paying off debt. You get very, very encouraged. You pick up a second job, you start selling things around the house to pay down that debt as quickly as possible. And a lot of people end up paying it off within 24 months. So let's see what that number looks like. So $50,000 divided by 24, over $2,000 a month in debt payment to have that $50,000 paid off in 24 months. So play around with this spreadsheet, get all your numbers in there, see how much you owe, divide it by 36 or 24, or I would say no more than 36 months, and see how much you owe and how much more you need to actually work. Can you work more overtime at your job? Do you need to pick up a second job, a third job, that sort of thing to get this debt paid for? All right, so now we're gonna skip 36 months into the future, pretend like we've paid off that $50,000 in debt. We'll also pretend, just for the sake of this example, we'll pretend that you have that 3 to 6 months of emergency fund in place as well. And now we're gonna be starting on your down payment. So in this example, I just copy and pasted the budget spreadsheet to here, and then I edited out the debt and the goal, made that your down payment. Okay, so rather than having your debt here, I've changed that to what your old minimum payments were. So on your credit card, student loans, and your car loan, all the minimum payments added up to $935. Now you should be able to take that $935 and save that away each month towards your down payment. So if we go back down here to your goal, and we have $935, multiply that by 36, so in another 3 years, which I'm guessing if you've got out of debt and you're working it really hard, you'll be able to save for a down payment a lot quicker and probably with a higher number. But for the sake of this, I'll just say $935, which is basically just the minimum at this point, and multiply that by 36. Now your new goal for your down payment has totaled after 3 years is $33,660. Now let's say you have a specific number in mind. Let's say you want to save $50,000 for your down payment. All you have to do is switch from multiplication to dividing, and we'll take top number, put 50,000, and we'll just pretend again that it's going to take you 3 years. So again, you're going to have to save $1,400 a month for that down payment each month for 36 months to equal $50,000 of your goal, or whatever it is. Do your math there. And one other thing, do not forget about closing costs when you are purchasing a home. You can discuss all those costs with your realtor, but I would say most people would need another $5,000, maybe $10,000 set aside to be comfortable with those closing costs. But discuss those with your realtor. They'll be able to break everything down for you, and just to give you a more of an exact idea of what you're going to be spending on those closing costs. All right, so that's pretty much it. So you have your budget, you have your debt payment, you know how to do the debt snowball, you know what your goal is, you know how to save for your down payment now, and you have everything right in front of you. Now, this is the easy part. The hard part is going to be going out and doing the work, making the money to actually pay for everything and save for what you want for your future. And again, I did not make all this up. I made the spreadsheet, but I didn't make up, the baby steps, debt snowball and all that. I simply followed a plan that millions of other people have followed and have been very, very successful, and I believe you can too. So in closing, there's just a few other points that I've made throughout making this video and getting all this data together. This is the easiest way, the best way to save for a home in my opinion. Talk to a financial advisor, mortgage broker to see where you're at. Regarding the, your debt payment and paying everything off, if you pay off your debts and you leave them paid off, your credit score will go down. So maybe keep a credit card or two, pay them off, but don't go into debt, but just, use it for groceries and pay it off and that sort of thing. Talk with your mortgage broker about that. Talk to your financial advisor about that. The best way to go about it. You don't want to keep your debts, but you also, still want to purchase a home. You might not want your credit score to go way, way down. And just talk to a mortgage broker. Even during this process, talk to a mortgage broker and see what you qualify for now and see how much you need to get out of debt. So your debt servicing ratio, your debts go down and your income goes up, so you can service a higher mortgage. Another thing I touched on was 3 to 6 months to get your proper budget going. So that's basically to filter out or bring in all the different expenses that you have. that you may forgot about, that sort of thing. But I would recommend just going back 3 months when you're creating your budget, just to see if you can get it to an exact number. Number 3, notice there's no line for savings or investing. So it doesn't make sense to try to save or invest money to try to get 8 or 10% on an investment when you're paying for a credit card over here that's costing you 20 or 22%. So when you're paying off your debt, don't save anything other than the $1,000 emergency fund, and put all that money that you might be investing now, and now that you've changed your frame of reference, or you've changed the way you're thinking about debt, put all that money towards your debt. That will pay it off so much quicker, rather than trying to get, like I said, 8 or 10% on investment when you're paying 20% over here on a credit card. That just doesn't make sense. And again, just as I just stated, speak with a mortgage broker and or a financial advisor during this process to see what you qualify for and where you want to be. And as I also stated, you might want to keep those credit cards open. But again, speak with a mortgage broker and financial advisor. Again, all these all these points were something I made up as I was going through. I wasn't sure if I was going to say them, so I just wanted to make sure I wrote them down. And last but not least, and for the 3rd or 4th time on this video, email me if you'd like a copy of the budget, or fill out the form. Or it's not a form, it's just a link to this budget, so you can download it for free. If you have any questions regarding the budget, feel free to leave a comment down below. I'll be happy to help. If this video did help you out at all, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, or more real estate related videos in the British Columbia, Kelowna, Okanagan area. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.